Prabhuji, are we good to start, Prabhu?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Today we are very fortunate to have the association of His Grace Gauracandra Gopinath Prabhu for quite some time. And Prabhuji will be sharing the nectar from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, chapter number 14 and sloka number 29. Prabhuji, over to you, Prabhu.
Yeah. Thank
You
you.
will share the screen, Prabhu, or should I?
I will share the screen.
Okay.
Also, you generally mute the devotees till end of the question answer session. In my session, you can unmute them and okay to them, interact with them, ask, chat like that. So you can unmute as well, others.
I unmuted, Prabhu.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Ramo Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Subhadramai, Jaya Sudarshana, Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Anantadev. Lakshmi Narasimha Jayo Anantade Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jai Motion Bhal Paramahamsa Parivacharya Stotra Divine Grace AC Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Samaveda Bhakta Vranda ki Tagore Premanande Grandharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Hare Krishna, I welcome all of you today for the Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya and also I seek blessings of Shweta Mataji, Sankarshan Priya Prabhu, Radharani Mataji, Shweta Mataji, Hare Krishna, Sunil Malar Prabhu, Hare Krishna. I don't know, somebody returns X Xiomi 2312. Please write your name. Saraswati Mataji Hare Krishna. Dayamai Prabhu Hare Krishna. With your blessings, and I will start today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Mavati Naistaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 14. Text number 29. So this is the thing, the longest shloka. I don't know any meters for this, so I just read it. Then I would read a translation and purport. कदाचित् कदाचित् ईश्वरस्य भगवतो विष्णोश्चक्रात् प्रम प्रमनौ आदिदिवि परद्वपावर्ग कलोपलक्षणात् परिवर्तेन वर्तितेन व्यास रमहस हरत अब्रह्मतृण स्तंभादीनं भूतानाम् अनिमिष्यतो मिषातं वित्रस्त हृदयस्थं एवस्वरं कालचक्र निजयुधां साक्षात् भागवतं यज्ञपुरुषम् आनन्द्रिय पाखंड देवत कंकगिर्द भगवत प्रिय आर्य समाय प्रिहित संकेत्येन बीजते. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. The personal weapon used by Lord Krishna, the disc is called Hari Chakra, the disc of Hari. This chakra is the wheel of time. It expands from the beginning of the atoms up to the time of Brahma's death, and it controls all activities. It is always revolving and spending the lives of the living entities from Lord Brahma down to insignificant blade of grass. Thus, one changes from infancy to childhood, the youth and maturity, and thus one approaches the end of life. It is impossible to check this wheel of time. This wheel is very exacting because it is the personal weapon of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes the conditioned soul, fearing the approach of death, wants to worship someone who can save him from the imminent danger. Yet he does not care for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose weapon is the indefatigable time factor. The conditioned soul instead takes shelter of a man-made god described in the unauthorized scriptures. Such gods are like buzzards, vultures, herons, and crows. Vedic scripture do not refer to them. Imminent death is like the attack of a lion, and neither vultures, buzzards, crows, nor herons can save one from such attack. One who takes the shelter of unauthorized man-made gods cannot save from the clutches of death. Purport. It is stated, Harim vina mritimna taranti. No one can save himself from the cruel hands of death without being favored by Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, Mayam evam ye prapatyante, mayam etam tarantite. Mam eva ye prapatyante, mayam etam tarantite. Whoever fully surrenders unto Krishna can be saved from the cruel hands of material nature. The conditioned soul, however, sometimes wants to take shelter of demigod, man-made god, pseudo-incarnation, or bogus swami or yogi. All these cheaters claim to follow religious principle, and all this has become very popular in this age of Kali. There are many Pashandis who, without referring to the Shastras, post themselves incarnations, and foolish people follow them. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has left behind him Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Not referring to these authorized scriptures, rascals take shelter of man-made scriptures and try to compete with Lord Krishna. That is the greatest difficulty one encounters when trying to promote spiritual consciousness in human society. The Krishna conscious movement is trying its best to bring people back to Krishna conscious in its pure form. But the Pashandis and atheists who are cheaters are so numerous that sometimes we become perplexed and wonder how to push this movement forward. In any case, we cannot accept the unauthorized ways of so-called incarnations, gods, cheaters, and bluffers, who are described here as crows, vultures, wizards, and herons. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुधापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवां च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमदे भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरतिशे नमः ये कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धु भयेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरु दीनदारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरं हरिः ओम तत्सत् नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमदे जयपताक स्वामी नामिने Hare Krishna. I seek once again all the assembled Vaishnavas' blessings. I might be able to speak some knowledge, but may not be a realized knowledge. So I'll try to repeat whatever I hear from my superiors because it's a very deep subject matter. And give a context, we are in 14th chapter. Um, entitled The Material World as the Greatest Forest of Enjoyment. So it is continuation after Jadaparta's Raghugana's discussion. So then Parshit Maharaj is asking more questions. And so this is the forest, titled Forest Enjoyment, how a merchant goes inside the forest to find some wealth and what are the difficulties he is facing. Um, I hope you are able to see my presentation. So this the forest of enjoyment, how this merchant is got struck going deep inside in order to get the wealth. And so this entire wonderfully this entire chapter is described. And today I've chose to speak about the sufferings of the conditioned soul. Most of the time we think that when we preach we say, oh, if you come to Krishna conscious then you will be happy. That is the dukkale masashvatam. This place is misery. I'm not saying wrong, that is right, but most of the time we say, once we become Krishna conscious then we are all can happy. We know the real happiness, we get it. It is all not a real happiness, it's like a mirage, all those things. But I have good news for you. The miseries will continue in spiritual life as well. The spiritual world as well, the miseries would continue. As we preach, it is not all, you know, uh, the what is a happiness is there once you go. So that is the topic for today. So we will see what is that miseries. The sufferings are eternal, both in material and spiritual world. That is the topic I want to discuss. And also we talk about, in this purport, Prabhupada is talking about mainly on the Hari Chakra or Kal Chakra. We'll try to see some of them. So as I was talking about, the businessman, his analogy is given as a businessman, which is the conditioned soul, who want to enter into the forest, which like a family life, allured to many things, and he wants to get the wealth and come out and make money in the city, selling in the whatever he found in the forest. So the creepers of the tenderness in this shloka, Prabhupada, the previous shloka, compares to a woman. Woman's embrace is like a tender creeper softness, um, and the chipping of the sweet voice of the birds, like the family members or the kids who speak really sweet words, right? So then if you see from the beginning of this chapter till 29, so it is continuing. In that, Prabhupada talks about in the first shloka that the wife and kids are like a jackals, tiger and jackals, because they sees how much are you resist. You're going in the forest, you're stuck in the jackals. Jackals will not leave you. They come attack in bunches. However, you try various means, it's very difficult to escape from the attacks of the jackal and tiger. How much are you resist? The wife and kids are like that. Always they need. So the demands are, you have to satisfy them. You can't resist. You can't say I can't do it. So then when how much ever you plow the land, then the creepers and the grass they keep coming out. How much or you cut it? How much? That's why the if you see the people who are doing farming, they just plow the land again and again. But you don't need to put a seed of grass. Those weeds will automatically will keep coming and again. It's like our karma. Once you enter into the forest, family life, and again, you do something, then karma acts again, karma, then you reap the benefit of the karma, again the karma. It goes on the endless cycle. That is what they refers to these creepers and grass. How much or you take it out, the keep karma is keep adding to it. Then the Prabhupada, another shloka refers to the gat flies and mosquitoes. Then once you want to improve and somehow you found that material life is very bad and you want to have some association, then there are so many people who could misguide you. There are a lot of misguide, those who not follow the Shastras. Prabhupada is condemning in this, like buzzards, vultures, herons, they worship the self-invented gods and they mislead. Many people would mislead. That's what the mosquitoes they keep and disturb falsehood. They propagate the falsehood. Then on the way, there are a lot of thieves who plunder your wealth, like rats, locusts. So they would um, steal whatever you own or find in the forest. Then there is constant agitation has happening. Owls and crickets, they make this, especially the crickets. I don't know if you have gone to the forest area. Constantly they make a sound, such a horrible sound, and constantly it makes you can't do anything about it. So they keep on repeatedly agitating in this uh, material world. Then there are a lot of then we struggle so much in the family life. Let's say take some help of some institute or somebody who can lend us money, financial support. But those persons will be fruitless tree, just taking a shelter of, you're too hungry in the forest, but just taking a shelter of a fruitless tree. Similarly, these people, they can't help you, but they will, you're depending on some fruit trees who they can't give any guidance. Um, then you find some shallow water you want to drink and you dive, you break your bone thinking that there is a lot of water, but there is no water. You just go and hit your rocks and things like that. So there are a lot of people who want to take advice like a shallow water. They don't know anything. They've not read the scripture, limited knowledge, very insincere. So we get into an association of those people. Then we try to learn something is like falling down on the shallow water and breaking the bones. Um, then there is a frustration, constant demand. It's like a field of thorns and sharp stones you're stepping out in the forest. And it constantly pricking. Then you constantly frustrated about it because of the demands of the family and yourself. And also most of the time we tend to sleep. That's because it's like a python. devouring us because we want to be in the ignorance, sleep. Then the Ananda Kupa, which Prahlad Maharaj talks about, fall, then we fall in the blind well. And then in after falling there, we just look for some honey drop. It's like looking for others man's woman or riches to get some happiness. So then constantly we become into depressed, the anxiety that's because of the three kleshas. And Prabhupada in this purport summarizes the buzzards, vultures, herons, and crows to the worship of self-invented gods because we don't want to surrender to Krishna. Rather, we want to some other person, self-made gods who we want to take shelter so that we think that they can relieve us our some yogi, Baba, we think that they can magically they can get out of this material clutches. So very wonderful, analogy, and Prabhupada goes on. We can talk about it. Um, so I was thinking about, what to speak about this. Then I was able to see, this is the book called Vrindavan Bhajane. I don't know how many of you were able to see this. This is a poem written by Srila Prabhupada. And for this is a Bengali poem by Srila Prabhupada, and it was translated and commentaries written by His Holiness Jayapatka Swami Maharaj. It is an amazing, wonderful book. Why? Because this exact situation, Prabhupada is in Vrindavan. This is just before going to US, right? He was staying in the Radha Damodar temple. Before that, he was staying in Vrindavan, right? During this period, Prabhupada has tried all his best to do his family life, tried all the best. The business was going on loss. Family was not cooperating with him to preach. Then he took sannyas and he's staying in Vrindavan, and he's struggling to distribute Back to Godhead magazine or try to print, make some group of devotees, and is trying to translate Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the scene, right? And he's almost just before going to Vrindavan, right? He's almost in his 70s, and Prabhupada is alone. There is nobody to support. There is no financial thing. He's struggling alone in Vrindavan. And during this time, he written this poem in Vrindavan. So recently, 2 weeks ago, I went to Vrindavan. I was traveling around, and of course, I went to Radha Damodar temple, Prabhupada place. And from that place, this wonderful poem is written, Srila Prabhupada. Amazing realization. One should read this book. That's because, see, what happens is, this knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yesterday, we were discussing in one of the group, what is realized knowledge? What is knowledge? Just reading Bhagavatam, yes, you get the knowledge, but the realized knowledge, when you get, Srila Prabhupada is pouring his realization after understanding so many family life, and the Prabhupada is writing. So this is as good as scripture, this is as good as the revealed knowledge. And Prabhupada humbly writes these prayers, trying to seeing Krishna, and he writes uh, wonderful purports. So some of these shlokas I want to read today, two, three of them, and then probably we're not able to complete it, and also few His Holiness Jayapatka Maharaj commentaries. It is amazing. Then probably we can see other references from Srimad Bhagavatam. Then I'll quickly touch upon today's topic that the sufferings would continue in spiritual world as well. So that I would touch, but that's the biggest topic. Probably I just touch it and probably open it for more question and answer. Um, Let me see. Okay, this is Vrindavan Bhajane, the first shloka. The poem starts with Vrindavan Dame Amivashe Achi Eka. So in this Prabhupada says, I'm staying alone in Vrindavan. So that's how it starts. So I read this first paragraph translation. My dear Lord Krishna, I sit here alone in your holy abode of Vrindavan Dhamma, absorbed in the following thoughts and meditation kindly appear before me. So Prabhupada is in separation. So he is asking Krishna to appear. He wants to see Krishna. I have a wife son, daughter, grandchildren, and everything. But since now I am without any wealth, everything is considered a failure. All these so-called opulences are now simply sources of frustration. My dear Lord Krishna, you have so kindly revealed to me the naked form of your material energy, and today, by your causeless mercy, I have lost all the taste for material enjoyment. As you, my Lord, have stated, Yasyaham anugrahami arishetat tanam sanahi. If I specially favor anybody, then I take away all his sources of income. But I really properly understood how you, all the merciful Lord, have bestowed the causeless mercy upon me. This is the translation of the first shloka, what Prabhupada writes. He's telling, I had everything, but I did not have money, but I consider as a failure. Um, so this is, I read as it is because it is very wonderful information Iswarina Jayapatka Maharaj gives. Through this simple prayer, Srila Prabhupada is revealing his life experiences and profound spiritual realization he has gained from them. Some experiences common to this material world, and we may have encountered them in our own lives or may encounter them in future. So that way, Prabhupada is giving a guidelines as to when you face your problem, how to overcome this. Srila Prabhupada also gives many direct lessons regarding pitfalls on the spiritual path and how one can progress in spiritual life. What are the pitfalls and what are the signs? So Maharaj is giving one example like that. When we come to the crossroads, we don't know what decisions to take. That time there needs to be a signpost, right? In the spiritual path, there is no signpost. But Prabhupada, based on his experience and his writing, these are the things can happen one family life. How one can, this is the sign, okay, this direction you go, then we go in the right direction. Uh, like that. So, in fact, Srila Prabhupada, the revelations are as good as scriptures in themselves, and everything he has revealed can be supported with evidences from Vedic scriptures, Vedic literatures. The Vedic literature explains the true spiritual master is the personal form of the scriptures. So Maharaj is writing how this is our scriptures, Prabhupada realization. Then yesterday I was talking in a group, then they asked what is self-realized knowledge. So this is what it is. In fact, spiritual life is much more than the academic study of revealed scripture. We might do a lot of scripture study, which is definitely required. But one must be realized to be considered complete. Unless you realize it, you won't be able to apply in the life whatever we study. It is advised that taking personal guidance from and studying the revelation of already realized soul is an important aspect of attaining God realization. Why we need to read these bhajans? Prabhu, these are just Prabhupada bhajans, why we should read, and Maharaj is giving explanation. It is not, we might study academically, but that will not help. When you realize the person writes something, then it's good. And a wonderful point. He reveals that in his material life, he had wife, son, daughter, grandchildren, etc., but has realized that material family affairs are fruitless opulence. This apparently became unmistakable apparent to him after losing his material wealth. But Prabhupada is not lamenting here for loss of wealth. Rather, he is praying in gratitude to Lord Krishna in Vrindavan. Prabhupada is praying, Oh Krishna, you're so merciful. You've taken away all these things so that I am able to surrender to you completely. He's showing gratitude, just like Kunti Devi. She's praying, right? Give me more trouble. She's in gratitude. She's praying, Oh Krishna, you will be there with us. So similarly, Prabhupada was never sorry for his state. But he just praying in the gratitude mode. As I mentioned, there are crucial crossroad in our life of primary importance. The living example given is how to take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Prabhupada is showing in this difficult condition how one should take surrender to God. Prabhupada has signposted the route in this poetic lesson to make the reader's passage back to Godhead. If somebody is really sincere to want to go back to Godhead, there will be so many pitfalls in the spiritual path, and Prabhupada has put this signpost. Let me move on to the second words. Seeing that I have no money, everyone has left me including all my family members, relatives, close friends, and brothers. However, although I am supposed to be unhappy, actually I am laughing. Indeed, sitting here alone in the holy abode of Vrindavan, I am laughing in great happiness. Who in this material life of so called family, friendship, and love can be said to be really love another? Where are my affectionate mother and father now? What are the other near and dear ones? Where have all the elders, relative, and close family members gone? Tell me, who is there who can give me information about their whereabouts today? What is left out of their dear family at present? Now it exists in name only. What a wonderful realization and purport. I think you should read this book, this poem at least. Amazing. Prabhupada says, he's saying, there's one point of time I was so loud. Where is my father, mother, my family, relatives, so many people? After some time, like you have to travel on your own. They cannot help you. So he says he just left in the dear family. Where are they now? Now it is exist in name only, just a name. This is my father, mother, because Prabhupada writes this relationship is connected to my body. Once my body is finished, the relationship's also finished. But the eternal relationship is with Krishna. When one revives transcendental knowledge, then one feels naturally blissful. So yesterday I was talking, how do we measure the bhakti? Right, I'm progressing in bhakti. You can measure it by two ways. One is that the detachment from the material life. Another one is the transcendental knowledge. So by through the transcendental knowledge, Prabhupada is telling, I'm not at all sorry. I'm laughing in great happiness. Prabhupada is happy. Apparently looks. So this is another clue for my today's conclusion. I said the suffering would follow even the spiritual life. You see the close associates of the devotees, Srila Prabhupada life. He had suffered. He's a pure transcendental person. He's always on the pure platform. But he had undergone suffering. Pandavas, they've undergone suffering. They're supposed to be happy. But this seems to be suffering, seems to be continuing in spiritual world as well. So, but Prabhupada is giving a hint. I'm not feeling sorrow, but I'm feeling happy. In fact, I'm laughing. Uh, while in this material bondage of family affection, one feels it's to be so natural, but due course of time, all those so-called loved ones disappear for one reason or other. When one loses his wealth, then most friends and relatives leave. The so-called love was merely a reciprocal gratification of each other's material desire. When one is poor, he is unable to gratify others, so they leave him and go their own way. What was remaining of their so-called love? And also today's topic, right? The Kala time factor. Prabhupada again talks about this Kala time factor in today's purport, what he has talked about. Eventually, the time factor takes everyone away. The chakra, what Krishna has in his hand, it is the time factor. So that would take away everything in this purport. Like, we can see wonderfully Srila Prabhupada writes right from ant to the Brahma, uh, right up to the autumn, sorry, not ant, beginning of the atoms up to the time of Brahma's death, and it controls all activities. It's always revolving and spending in lives of living entities. So the the Kala Chakra is the factor, which so when Vishnu creates his universe, what is that one thing which starts the activity? The three modes of material nature is this one of the fact. One of the thing is the time factor. When Mahavishnu glances through, the time factor Kala Chakra comes into effect. Then slowly the modes of material nature comes into active. Along with that, the karma, the jivas, they all come, and they thousands of years in the womb of Mother Earth. And then when the time comes, Brahma recreates them into various living entities. So this time factor is Kala, is one of the important factor which Prabhupada talks away. Yeah, eventually the time factor takes away everyone. Where do they all the friends and relatives go? Um, So like that, this is a wonderful realization. I keep on go and talk about it. So I'll just go one more verse, then probably we see some more references from Srimad Bhagavatam. Um, so this is another wonderful analogy Srila Prabhupada gives in the third verse. I'll read it is two paragraph, but it's really worth reading, and then I'll see some references from Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada writes, ocean foam is created in instant by the action of the waves. We see the foams coming in the ocean. Is comparing that foam to the family existent. Just as abruptly the foam is also disintegrated after a momentary existence, the game of illusory material family life and its affairs is like that, suddenly beginning and then terminating after a short existence. In truth, no one can actually be said to be father, mother, relative, or dear friends, since everyone remains, and so the bubbles of foam in the ocean for just a very short period of time. So, recently Bhakti Priya Mataji was posting a message. There's one girl met with an accident, a relative, and prayers, and she passed away. Most of the time, when the relatives passed away, after some time, we might grieve for some months, days, weeks. After that, they are on their own. That hard truth is that they continue, they keep aside the body and they go ahead. So this relative, so-called sincere, everyone remains. This is bubbles of foam for short period of time. Then it doesn't exist. As the ocean foam finally merges back into the ocean water from where it came, similarly, the material bodies, which are temporarily products of the material energy made of five gross material elements earth, water, fire, ether, sky, are also eventually destroyed by the actions of material energy. And finally, elements or dead body merges again with the total material elements. And so, this living spiritual force present in the body, that is not the body, but which makes each body alive. So like that, is Prabhupada wonderfully writes. In this, Prabhupada quotes, so Maharaj writing purport is Holy Japatka Maharaj quotes, Kehe nehe pita mata attamya atmiya swajana sabi penara mato take alpakshana. So the same thing which is explaining, there is no one is our real mother, father, mother. It's like ocean foam. In that also he quotes Gajendra prayers. Gajendra, the king of elephants, was surrounded by his wife, children, and other elephants, but none could help him when crocodile in the water captured him. Feeling helpless, he prayed to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is above all the demigods and human beings, and who is creator, maintainer, and dresser of everything. In response to his sincere prayers, Lord Vishnu personally came and delivered to him. So, if an element can re-establish the relationship with Supreme Personality of Godhead, then certainly human being can. That's what Maharaj writes. So, in this, since we are talking about the forest, Gajendra prayers in this connection, let me go refer to some of the Gajendra prayers and see them, the wonderful realization of Gajendra in connection to this topic. For another five more minutes, then I will conclude. Um, so this is a wonderful shloka, 8.3.14, Sarvendriya Gunadrastre. So in that, O my Lord, you are the observer of all the objectives of the senses. Without your mercy, there is no possibility of solving the problem of doubts. The material world is just like shadow, resembling you. Indeed, one accept this material world as the real because it gives a glimpse of your existence. He's praying this material world, why it should so real? It is real, it is temporary. Prabhupada says that it's Maya illusory, and we talk. Many people talk about it, but it looks so real. That's because you created it, because of your existence, and there is no possibility of solving problems of doubt. There are so many doubts will be there. That's like how this hand, the fingers are moving. Without this palm, it can't. Similarly, the Lord is there in the material. So that's why, your existence, this material world, even though it is temporary, but looks really real, and they want to settle in permanent. So the wonderful realization what Gajendra is talking about, and we can go on discussing that. This another prayer by Gajendra is again 8.3.18. Uh, My Lord, those who are completely freed from material contamination always meditate upon you within the course of their hearts. You are extremely difficult to attain for those like me who are too attached to material concoction, home, relatives, friends, money, servants, and assistants. You are the supreme person of Godhead, uncontaminated by the modes of nature. You are the reservoir of an enlightenment and superior controller. I therefore offer my respectable obeisances. So again, he's telling if you have attachment of the family material thing, how do I realize it? One who is completely freed from this. That's why I said if you want to check your progress of bhakti, how much we are detached. It does not mean that we don't need to, vairagya and I renounced everything, go away from it. We still try to maintain our family, do whatever activity required as a duty rather than attachment. There is a difference between doing it with attachment and doing as a duty. So as long as we mature in that, then we are progressing in the bhakti. Otherwise, material attachment doesn't go away. We are not progressing in the bhakti. So that wonderful realization, this elephant, see, there are so many family friends trying to protect me, pull me from this crocodile clutches. But what is the use? And I, I, you can only help. And he's praying wonderful prayers, Gajendra. So let me see one more verse, then probably. Uh, I do not wish to live anymore after I am released from the attack of crocodile. What is the use of an elephant body covered by external and internally by ignorance? I simply desire eternal liberation from the covering of ignorance. That covering is not destroyed by the influence of time. So again, time factor today, Prabhupada talking about, and he knows this Kala Chakra. One cannot escape this Kala Chakra of time. And he said, you might protect me, but I don't wish to live after this in this animal body, ignorance. I need a liberation, oh my Lord. Again, he says he knows the time factor. Again, Prabhupada writes in the same purport about this Kala Chakra. That is the topic today. Similarly, we can see Prahlad Maharaj prayers. One you finds niti, finally they have to say, you know, find out, one must separate spirit from the matter. One might analyze the spirit, soul, and the subtle elements. Finally, the five gross elements. Finally, they would find out the spiritual thing. And also Queen Kunti prayers. Uh, she is also again praying, saying that, My Lord, I consider your Lordship to be eternal time, the supreme controller without beginning and end. You are all pervasive one. In distributing your mercy, you are equal to everyone. He says you are equal. One living entity suffers or enjoys, that's because of his decision, his karma. You don't interfere. This kala time factor, eternal time as you don't interfere. Manye tvam kalam ishanam. You are the same kala, time, eternal aspect. This is another form. You are in the another form. So like that, Queen Kunti prayers, things like that. So from this wonderful topic, what we can understand is that this material world is a place of miseries. Definitely, we need to get out. But my question is that even spiritual world, it seems to be continuing it. How? We can see from the example of prayers by Bhishma Pita prayers. He says, Oh Pandavas, oh, you suffered so much. As far as my daughter-in-law Kunti is concerned, upon the great general Pandu's death, she became a widow with many children, and therefore she suffered greatly. So where are these devotees? They're supposed to be, when Leela, Krishna Leela was happening, they're all with Krishna. They're supposed to be happy. No, it seems to be they are suffering. And when uh, when Vrindavan Krishna left after for a few years, the gopis, gopas, the elderly people, they were suffering in great pain of Krishna's separation. They were burning. And one time Uddhava came, after some time, Krishna used to cry always in Dwaraka, sitting and crying, crying, crying. And he said, Why my master is crying? One time he went and find out, why Krishna you're crying? You're comfortable in Dwaraka, you're the supreme person of Godhead. What happened? He said, I'm crying for Vrindavan Vasis and separation in separation I'm feeling. Then he said, Okay, let me go on behalf of you. He goes and asks somebody, Hey, where is Nanda Baba's house? Then the Vrajavasi show, you can see the two streams of river flowing. You just follow that and you will reach Nanda Baba's house. Then they said, It is just not stream of waters. This is the crying of Nanda Baba and Yashoda Mai. in separation of Krishna. They're crying so many years, decades. They're holding their life, and separation is killing them, and they're crying. And you when you go there, the end of the river is you find Nanda Baba's house. Radharani and the gopis, they in separation, uh, you know, uh, they're going mad, seeing when would Krishna come in separation. So our philosophy is that always separation, right? Mode of separation, vipralamba is what our mood. If that is the mood, then the suffering only. Where is the happiness is coming? So I just open up the uh, floor to tell your realization. Is it not when we came to Krishna conscious, somebody said, yeah, everything is happiness. But from the examples of the acharyas, the mood which they recommend, Mahaprabhu, when he came, he was in separation, feeling separation. That is the right. So where is the suffering is ending here? Separation means the suffering, right? It's not happy. So I just want to open the floor for today's topic. How can we say that our spiritual life when we go, we will be happy? Is not suffering is continuing? That's what my question to all of you today to discuss. Then we will wind up in 5-10 minutes after your realization. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for sharing the knowledge, your knowledge, and also your realizations, and also Prabhupada's realization. Thank you, Prabhu. Devotees may please unmute the mic and share your questions or reflections.
Hope you all got my point which I'm trying to make. So is it a good deal? Like somebody says, Prabhuji, I came to Krishna conscious because I know that the Kwale Masashodam, at least next my life, when I go back to Krishna, I'll be happy. That's why I've taken up Krishna consciousness. Since this lifetime is suffering, and next life also, when I'm with Krishna, I will suffer. So that's what we are signing up to, right? So it's a good proposal. What do you think? I don't know. You're able to unmute your processing. I don't know.
Devotees may please confirm whether you are able to unmute. I have.
Yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, I just texted in the chat as I'm traveling.
Thinking we are going back to him, we'll be happy. Okay. And we will not be happy there. Okay. Anyhow, I'll just quickly answer that. Then probably you can say, see, this may apparently look suffering, but the pure spiritual souls, they don't really suffer. Externally, it like look suffering. The Radharani is suffering. When they met in Kurukshetra, in pretext of solar eclipse, all the Vrajavasis they meet, and Krishna could not able to speak to Nanda Baba and Yashoda Mai choke up his words. So much separation, and of course he could not immediately meet the Radharani and other gopis. But when in separation, he meets after some time. That's how they pull the Rath, right? That's why we celebrate Rath Yatra. Then Dwaraka is Krishna pulled from to Vrindavan. So from Kundicha to temple is Vrindavan, then the Sri Mandir is Dwaraka. From there, Krishna is pulled. That's Rath Yatra. And he says, Radharani, I'm sorry. I promised you that I would come, but I never came. I'm falling at your feet. And Radharani says, no, why you sorry about it? There are kings who marry so many queens, wives, and they go. There are many wives they marry. So you happen to be our initial first lover, and you moved on. But for us, you are the first lover, and after which we could not able to. We were suffering, but I need to say sorry because I should have my life should have air should have my life is went out of Vrindavan. I should have died. I'm still living for so many decades. Imagine decades of separation, and she is telling, I should have dead by this time now, but I'm still alive. Like that. So the Acharya says that in general, when a person dies, right, you will forget after few months, few years, the love, the bondage will not be the same as when person was there. But here, after a decade, it is constantly increasing. It never decreased. The love for Krishna is never decreased. So it's like when Radharani says, when I am in separation, I'm seeing you everywhere. But when I was in union, only one person, one Krishna, I'm seeing it. But when I separation, I see everywhere. Tamal tree I see, then I see these rivers. Everywhere I see you, Krishna. Even cloud, she sees the monsoon clouds, then she thinks about Krishna. So I'm seeing in separation everywhere. It's just like Queen Kunti says, Nato Natyadara. So you're like exactly like a drama. You come and exhibit these pastimes and you go back. So when a person is exhibiting all these symptoms, let's say some drama person acting it out, this drama, bringing the emotion, let's say Ramayana, it's a lot of tragedy. Sita has been kidnapped. Dasarada lost Rama. He has to go forest, and he was not crowned. He was sitting the throne. So like that, you see, it's always emotions. Somebody sees that again, they want to see why it is a separation. It's a very tragic story. Why anybody wants to hear Ramayana and again and again. And when the actors enact and everybody cries and they feel, oh, this is a wonderful act enacted. So the suffering externally looks, but internally it is the happiness, the complete happiness one would get after seeing this pastimes, reading this pastime again. One wants to read. So externally it may look like a suffering, but internally a actor coming and exhibiting is all these bhavas. In fact, when the Pandavas they exhibit all these things, um, it helps them. What do you say? Um, One second. What is the technical term? So this is all Sanchari Baba. So when you say Sanchari Baba, there are few moments of emotions which come temporarily. Then Sthai Baba, then the permanent emotions come. So these are ways, channels, and means by exhibiting these different feelings. Their Sanchari Baba is nourishing their bhakti. In fact, the bhakti grows multiple times. So that way, it is a happiness for them. A person who is acting out the drama is not affected, but is bringing these emotions, so that is Sanchari Baba is nourished, the bhakti is nourished, and the Sthai Baba established. So that way, the Acharya is explaining the actual Acharyas, they don't feel any pain. Srila Prabhupada says, I don't feel sorry, but I'm just laughing it out about this material world. So Prabhupada never, externally we see he's struggling, but internally he's not struggling. He's more happy that Krishna is so kind that he gave this mercy to surrender and things like that. So with that, I would stop here. Open up again floor for more realization and any corrections. Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Any question or reflections from the devotee?
I just want to know whether you're getting what I'm trying to speak, because you were silent. You're deliberating on what I'm speaking, or it's too hard, or I don't know. I just want a feedback as to you're able to follow what I speak.
I think, Prabhuji, we are able to, at least from my perspective, I'm able to follow, but the message is bit, it appears that it is simple, easy, but digesting it takes time, Prabhu.
That's
Uh,
that's okay. If that is the case, it's okay. Because I don't know whether I'm able to put this point across, because these points are very difficult. And I loved reading this Vrindavan Bhajane and Prabhupada's mood, wonderfully captured in this poem. I would recommend everyone to read this Vrindavan Bhajane. There are a few poems. These are, after Prabhupada realizing it, we writing this in sitting in Vrindavan. Imagine, wow, it's Bhagavatam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat pranams.
Yeah.
Thanks for the difficult subject, Prabhu. Prabhu, I didn't understand the question itself. You said suffering in spiritual world or for the spiritual people, because we hear Vaikunta, there is no Kunta. So when spiritual people come down to the earth to teach us lesson, they
Yes.
have to go through this natak of completing their parts. That's why it appears they are suffering. No, Prabhu? Or what is it?
See, when person goes back to, let's say, in technical terms, right, arguments again, if somebody is following our four-legged principle and everything, then they would join Krishna Leela, right, in the next lifetime. Somewhere Krishna is doing this Krishna Leela in many planets. So in this planet, he completed 5,000 years ago. Then he is currently doing it somewhere else. Somewhere else he's killing Trinavarta. Right? The Pandavas also will be there. There will be some Kurukshetra will be happening it. So they keep on going to different places, different planetary systems. This is eternally happening. And if you see that, let's say some jivas, sadhana bhaktas who get promoted, the next life they don't directly go to Goloka Vrindavan. They go and participate in some of the leelas of the Lord. In Bhoma Vrindavan this happen, there's another place it will happen. So the jiva would first join there. Then he will go to the original spiritual world where the like that. So if that is the answer, we see that most of the time the dearmost devotees, let it be Vrindavan, the gopis or the Pandavas, they're all suffering. Krishna was there for just 4 to 6 years in Vrindavan. After that, the suffering is so much. Decades of separation, decades of pain, not seeing Krishna, they're just crying, they're keeping only their life here. Is it not suffering? Do you want to be in that condition? Is what my question was. In case you happen to, be there in Vrindavan or whatever it is you're desiring. So when generally what thinks that devotees, oh, when I come to Krishna conscious, once I suffering is over, when I go back, I'll be happy. My question was that you will be really happy. It seems to be apparently they are suffering in separation in spiritual world also, because the Bhoma Vrindavan, the spiritual world, there is no difference. When Krishna enacted his Leela, it is Vrindavan. It is the Goloka Vrindavan. It is the spiritual abode. But there also we see that a lot of people are suffering, seems to be suffering. That's what my question is. If that is what we're signing up to next life, in case we go back with Krishna's mercy, then we looks like we might be suffering like them. So is that what it is real? I'm asking.
But it is Prabhu, they know that they are doing this part to please the Lord. So that must be giving them the happiness, Prabhu. Maybe just apparently they are going through the sufferings, but inside they know that they are pleasing the Lord and they are doing their duty for the Lord. So it may not be suffering like that, I feel, Prabhu. I don't know, I'm very insignificant. I'm just trying to understand, Prabhu.
Yeah. True, Madas.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Prabhu, I think it is like, the relationship between a baby and a mother. The baby may not be in, view of the mother, and he starts crying, thinking that he is in separation. But the mother will always have an eye on the baby. So, it is our ignorance that we think we are in separation and we are crying. But actually, the mother always has an eye on the baby.
Yes, bro. Nice point. Bro, anyone else? We are on time. Bro, you are breaking. I could not able to hear. I don't know.
I am on the road, Prabhu. Devotees, are there any questions or comments or reflections? Prabhuji, I think, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for sharing the knowledge from Srimad Bhagavatam, your experience and your realized knowledge, and also the Prabhupada's realized knowledge. Thank you very much, Prabhu. And we will end today's session with Vaishnava Pranam. Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindho Bhevsya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnava Shantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Satakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Thank you, Prabhuji, one more time. Tomorrow is the auspicious day of Vaikuntha Ekadashi. Hare Krishna, devotee.